I was really looking forward to Knives Out. I'd heard some great things about this, the ratings were really high. I'm a big fan of comedy and crime films, so I thought, great cast, interesting premise, let's give it a go. Unfortunately, I actually feel like it's a little bit messy, and I feel like it's a little bit all over the place. Not that I'm saying it's a bad film or a terrible film, I just feel like the very high ratings for me personally don't make a lot of sense. This was released in 2019, written and directed by Rian Johnson, and the cast certainly is fantastic. Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Christopher Plummer, to name just a few. And the acting across the board is brilliant. That's definitely something that's worthy of praise. The narrative sounded interesting. I'll read the description from IMDb. I think this sums it up well without giving anything away. And this says, a detective investigates the death of a patriarch of an eccentric, combative family. Yes, this family come together to answer questions that this detective puts to them, to try and work out how this patriarch died. And the family, the characters are definitely quite interesting. I think some of the characters are really fascinating. I wanted to know more about them. I wanted to hear what they had to say. Some of the characters, though, I felt were just a little bit dull. I think one of my favourites is actually Joni, played by Toni Collette. I particularly enjoyed her character. Linda, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, was a bit hit and miss. Sometimes I liked her, sometimes not so much, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. But generally, I found the characters to be quite pleasing. Ana de Armas plays Marta. Marta is definitely a very interesting character. Really loved her performance. I thought she did a fantastic job with this. So the character's brilliant. It's very well shot. The camera angles are brilliant when they are doing the interviews. I think we get to see the best sides of the characters, and sometimes there'll be something in the background that we're not meant to focus on as such, but when your eye catches it, it's kind of like, well, that's blatantly obvious. For example, there's just I don't know what to call it, but there are just a bunch of knives in the wall as kind of decoration. I don't know what the right terminology for that is, but when you notice it, it's kind of like, oh, wow, that was staring at me the whole time. And the camera work is very clever. I really thoroughly enjoyed that side of it. The acting's brilliant. The house itself that they're in is gorgeous. Visually really quite stunning. I just felt like the narrative was a bit scrappy. I thought they gave away too much too soon. But there were aspects of it that they kept back until it developed a little bit further. So it's not all bad. It's just, I was kind of led to believe that it was quite perfect. That it was going to be hilarious, expertly crafted, a fantastically executed narrative full of surprise and mystery. Yes, there were elements of mystery. There were bits of it that kept me guessing. But, well, I say there were elements of mystery. The whole thing is a mystery, but sometimes I felt like things were too obvious. Certain things I felt like were forced, and when certain things were revealed, it felt a little bit unnatural. And certain motivations of the characters, again, I didn't necessarily believe in completely. But it's not terrible. It's quite funny. There are things in it that I just didn't expect to laugh at. Kind of dark humour a lot of the time. I mean, of course it's dark humour. We're dealing with somebody who has died. But it is a comedy. I think it handles the genres quite well and mixes them well together. It's not a bad film. I was expecting so much more. I was expecting a piece of perfectly crafted artwork, and instead I got something that feels like it's a mishmash of different creators, where certain elements were amazing, some other elements were really lacking and needed a little bit more fine-tuning. Not terrible, definitely one that I would recommend, but I do not think it lives up to the hype.